All right, we had a big day on the mosquito fire today. We've been talking about what was going to happen weather-wise for a number of days now, and then we actually saw it play out. So, with this big system moving into California, we got those gusty winds over the mosquito fire today, and that led to a pretty big increase in activity that we're going to look at. We're also going to see exactly where that activity was, and then with the best news, we're going to take a look at the most recent rain models. And just some good news there. They have looked a lot better than the previous models that we're looking at. So I'm excited to show those. But first, let's just take a look at the overall picture of what's going on with the mosquito fire. Again, the mosquito fire is just west of Lake Tahoe. So about 25 miles to the west of Lake Tahoe. And then the big story today was we have this system pushing into California, which is pretty rare for this time of the year. It's going to bring over an inch of rain to a number of cities in California. But before that rain comes in and brings good news to wildfire danger, it did bring an increase in winds over the mosquito fire today. So I think the best way to see that is actually this map right here, or this imagery. So early in the morning, when this refreshes, you'll see it. Early in the morning, not much activity, and then right when those clouds hit, that was when our winds picked up this afternoon, and then you notice the northeastern section of that fire start to get a lot more heat showing up from the satellite imagery. So the reason for that was we had the winds were coming from the southwest, so that was taking the northeastern section of the fire and increasing the spread there. Although with that being said, doesn't actually sound like we had all that much spread. It just sounded like what it was putting off of a lot of smoke. So it looked like the fire was extremely active, and the fire was extremely active, especially compared to previous days. But according to the CAL FIRE report, doesn't actually sound like we spread all that far, although we did get some spotting at some periods. Now, if we look at the overall time lapse, you can see where that activity picked up when we had those gusty winds this afternoon. But then you also notice that as we get later in the evening, the winds are going to start calming down. Looks like by about 9 p.m. we still have some gusty winds, but they'll significantly calm down overnight. But then more than anything, you notice we go from clear skies to all of those clouds and moisture moving in associated with this system. That's bringing in some more relative humidity. The more moisture you have in the air, the more it finds its way into the fuels, and the more that calms the fire down. You can already see how it's calming down the smoke on the mosquito fire. I think that's a good indication of what's to come as this system continues to move into California. Now, don't want to get anybody too excited, not expecting that rain to just completely put the fire out. The fuels are still exceptionally dry out there, so they can still sustain fire even if it is raining. But the rain, along with the increase in moisture, is certainly going to help. So when it just comes to the mosquito fire, it looks like we're at 73,381 acres. It's actually not a big increase from yesterday. I believe that's only maybe 1,000 more acres from yesterday, and some of that might even be some of the firing operations that we were doing. Containment at 21%. So if we want to look at this fire, key spots that we were concerned about today was this eastern section there, because we had some heat and that'd be pushed by southwesterly winds, and then also the northeastern section right there. So key spot that I was following was actually this northeastern section, and when we zoom in, so up here is all the firing operations. That's where they purposely put fire on the ground to clear out some of the fuels, because they knew when these winds were coming in that it was going to try to push this fire to the north. And then we have a big burn scar right here. So while some of the fuels have been able to grow back because it's been a while since we had the American fire right here, overall you get slower growth where you have had a previous fire. So just zooming in to what our growth looked like today, or as yesterday into this morning. So this isn't the most recent data. I'll have that tomorrow morning to see just how much growth we got today. Going to be very interested to download that data tomorrow morning and have our wildfire insider session. But looking at it, so that's what we had since yesterday. Overall, very calm behavior the last couple of days because the temperatures have been low. We've had a lot of relative humidity, a lot of moisture in the air, and then winds actually haven't been all that strong in previous days, so we didn't have all that much activity. It was today that we were worried because those winds were coming up. So right there, zooming in to see some of those new firing operations that they put in on the north to clear out some more of those fuels, but then also those two spots were the key spots I was watching because I wanted to see how that interacted with the burn scar we had in here, and if those were just going to take off throughout the day. At first things we're hearing doesn't sound like it took off. So just clicking into this map, this shows the little red stars show where we have the more recent hotspots on this fire, and it's really this right here was what was kicking up a lot of smoke throughout the day today. It looked very active, but apparently we didn't spread all that much. And part of the reason for that is that's in the 2013 American burn scar right there. So, while we know some of the fuels have grown back in this burn scar because otherwise it would just stop like a puzzle piece. So there must be some fuel in here, but doesn't look like it took off or jumped over the firing operations. That was the number one thing we were worried about today, was that we'd have something happen like what happened on the Dixie fire, where a burning ember jumped over the previous firing operation and then the fire took off 15 miles in one day. We had nothing like that happen today. Overall, very good news. We did see a little activity down here as well today, but not nearly as bad as it could have been given the winds that we had. So overall, not much growth, it sounds like, even with those gusty winds we had today. And all of that work that they put in on this northern side sounds like it held. So it wasn't only those firing operations right there. When we look at the northern side, you can see how long of it almost looks like their dozer line, which you can tell by kind of the black X's on here. It almost looks like it goes from Forest Hill all the way up Forest Hill Road to the northern edge of where they put those firing operations in. So it was almost like a triple layer of protection. We had the firing operations, which cleared out fuels. We have this completed dozer line. And then we also have Forest Hill Road, which is a fuel break in and of itself. So just looking at this map, we can see where some of the containment is on this. So 21% contained. Most of that containment is on the southern edge and then this northwesterly edge right there. We still don't really see any containment on this eastern side, although we are starting to see some completed dozer lines popping up on the eastern side, and that's a lot more than we had not too long ago. So good to see some progress being made there. And I would just say overall on the whole western half of this fire, you notice all those dozer lines, all that containment line, and then you combine that with the fire imagery, where we don't see any active hotspots over there. Doesn't mean that the fire's out, but it just means we're not picking up a lot of heat over there. The whole western half is just looking great at this point, and then you combine that with the fact that rain is pushing in, and the picture really starts to look good for places like Forest Hill and Georgetown. Now, we do still have some of that heat on the east, but as we get into the weather forecast, you'll see that we're looking pretty good right there. Before we get into the weather forecast to see just how much rain we're getting, I should point out we do still have some evacuation orders and warnings. I don't want anybody to hear me say, oh, we're looking great on the west side, and then think that you're just free to move back in or anything. For that, you can always go to Inciweb. I put the link for this in the description. And we have those two links right there for Placer County and El Dorado County. And that will take you to something that looks like this. And you can stay updated on all the most recent evacuation warnings and orders. Although I do believe I read this on Watch Duty that some of these evacuations are being downgraded. So yeah, stay updated with that link. Sounds like we have some good news, and I imagine more of those will get downgraded as the rain starts to come in. So, final thing we'll just look at here before the weather is number of personnel. We still have 3,000, or we're up to 3,729. And then also with our information, this is a great way to just summarize the weather. Saturday night, smoke will settle into the drainages, bringing areas of poor visibility, probably some poor air quality as well. Humidity recovery will be very good, 85 to 100%. So that means we'll have a lot of moisture moving in overnight. Kind of makes sense because we're already starting to see some of these clouds associated with this storm moving in over the Sierra. So that's some great news there. And then more moisture in the air means it's going to continue to calm that fire down. And we already were seeing the fire calm down. We had all of that growth throughout the day today. And then as you start to see these clear skies turn into some cloudy skies, the first traces of that system moving in, watch the fire as it just starts to calm down as that relative humidity is increasing. We're pretty much seeing it play out in real time right there. So low temperatures will be in the 40s, so pretty cool temps tonight. And then pretty cool temps for our afternoon highs the next couple days, so we're looking great there as well. Light southwest evening winds will turn southeast after midnight. Not really too worried about overnight winds, should be pretty light. And then rain is likely Sunday into Wednesday. That's the big news right there, with precipitation amounts 1/4 of an inch to an inch expected. So let's just check out the current observations right now to see what we're like on the ground. Looks like we still have some 14-mile-per-hour winds around Forest Hill, maybe some 17-mile-per-hour gusts up here. Forest Hill's high gust today, we're at 24 miles per hour, so that explains why other parts of this fire did see more activity today, was we did increase in those winds. But the reason I think it didn't just absolutely take off throughout the day today, one, all the amazing work that those over 3,000 personnel have been doing on this fire. Two, one of our most active parts was in the American burn scar, so that diminished some of the growth. And then three, when we look at the other observations, the other factors, fire weather factors that play into wildfire growth, max temperature 73, that's below average, and min relative humidity was still 41%. So kind of explains why we didn't take off throughout the day today, and it was great to see that we didn't take off because we did have those gusty winds. The good news when it comes to those gusty winds is overnight they're going to be calming down significantly. If we look at the sustained winds drop down to about 3 miles per hour. Then I'm very happy to show tomorrow's forecast. Wind gusts, still windy, but it's wind while it's raining. So not expecting any crazy wildfire activity there. Temperatures also just most likely staying in the 50s. Relative humidity almost 100% showing right there. So yeah, that's probably one of the times where rain is actually dropping over the fire. So probably better off actually just looking at the rain models here. Let's look at the timing and totals expected for the Mosquito Fire. Start to see that rain moving in. I might start getting some in the Santa Cruz area in the next few hours here. Looking forward to that. And then as we click through, it looks like the rain starts to pick up over the Mosquito Fire at about 2 p.m. We might have a few scattered showers before that, but looks like it picks up around 2 p.m. And then we really see it move in overnight on Sunday and then into early Monday morning at 5 a.m. Looks like we're getting some moderate rainfall over the Mosquito Fire. And then we just continue to pick up some showers all the way into Tuesday and then possibly even into Wednesday as well. So looks like we're going to be dropping some rainfall in the Mosquito Fire for a while. And it's not just the rainfall that's important. It's that the fact that it's not only going to be bringing rain, but it's also going to be bringing high relative humidity. That might even end up helping us more than the rain. But rain's certainly going to help too. Now, very happy to show this model. When we were looking at the rain models a few days ago, it looked like almost all of it was going to drop over the North Bay and the Central Coast, and Mosquito Fire was going to get traces. We're going to be in that kind of like grayish color where you get 0.1 inches of rain. And then every single day that we've been following this, every time we look at the models, we get a little bit more rain for the Mosquito Fire. And now the models are showing that the Mosquito Fire could be getting up to an inch to, possibly even more than an inch of rain. And that's by Tuesday at 8 a.m. By Wednesday, even more rain filling in. So most of the rain falling on the Mosquito Fire will be Sunday evening into Monday morning. But we're going to just be picking up rain for an extended period of time. The key thing that I'll point out about this rain, is the last thing that you want over a fresh burn scar is very heavy rainfall rates over a short period of time, because fire clears out vegetation. The roots of vegetation hold the hillsides in place. Then if you get some heavy rainfall, it can basically liquefy the soils. There's no roots holding the soils in place, so then it leads to mudslides and debris flows. So I'm still going to be watching that over the Mosquito Fire, but the rain that we're getting actually looks like the perfect situation. It's light to moderate rainfall for a long period of time. A lot better if you're thinking about debris flows and mudslides than heavy rainfall over a short period of time. But that will be something that I continue to watch, and I'm also just going to continue to watch over the next few days to see what happens with the Mosquito Fire as this rain moves in. I think overall we're finally going to have some good news to talk about when it comes to wildfire in California. So if you want to stay tuned for that good news and any other wildfire updates throughout the rest of this season, you can subscribe to this channel. I should say, as this rain comes in, I don't want to get anybody too excited. It's most likely not going to just completely put out the fire or put an end to wildfire season, but we're certainly a lot better off having the storm coming in than if it wasn't coming in. So hope everybody has a great weekend, and thank you for watching.